Today's video is a little bit different. It's about technology and really how I, as a business owner and mom, am working and running my life using an iPad. So many of you on Instagram have asked me to do a video about this because I recently made the switch from a computer to an iPad. The reason I did this is because my husband pointed out that I wasn't using my laptop really to the best of its capabilities. Secretly, I think he just wanted to get the laptop from me, which really worked in his favor. So I took the plunge, I got an iPad for a trial, and I wanted to see if I could really replace my laptop. So this video is going to share with you the pros and the cons of working solely with an iPad. Let's start with the obvious pros. It's super portable. This little guy is relatively light, folds up pretty easily, and it tucks into my purse. You do need to get a case because this awesome pen, which is not inexpensive, falls off all the time. So that would be a con. The pen, which I love, and you can use it to take notes and write, is awesome, but you have to be careful you don't lose it, so get a case. It is portable, which means when I travel for work or for pleasure, I can take it with me. What I also like is that I use it at nighttime. I found that I was using my iPhone too much because I was just quickly checking an email or an app, and the font, and my eyes are not young, it was harder and harder for me to see, and it was straining. So I find that I'm more likely to use the iPad, whereas the computer I wouldn't use. Here's the con, obvious con, it's expensive. The iPad Pro, which is the 12.9 inch, the brand new one that I got, is quite expensive. It's over $1,000, it's a big investment. So you wanna make sure you are going to use it. And for me, it was worth the investment because the intention was to replace my computer. You buy the iPad, but then you still need to buy the pen for about $200 or more Canadian. And then you still need to buy a keyboard, if that's your wish, for another $200 plus. So it can really add up. The big question, can it replace your computer? I love this for email. I think it's really, really great. You can quickly see it. You have all the same capabilities that you would in your Gmail app. That's what I use for email. So that's fantastic. On an airplane, at a coffee shop, fantastic. What I found is you can do a lot with it, but a lot of the apps have restricted capabilities. So you don't fully have the use that you would on a desktop version of that same app. A pretty good example is Google Drive. I use Google Drive for absolutely everything. In our business, we use Google Slides for presentations, Google Sheets for anything to do with budgeting. We have PDFs in there. The other app that I find restrictive is Instagram. So I use Instagram a lot for my business. It's the visual platform that shows everyone how we do what we do and the beautiful work that we create. What's disappointing is that on an iPad, you only have the mobile-friendly app, which means if I want to look at Instagram, I have to turn it into portrait mode and it still doesn't fill the screen. Whereas on a computer, you can see Instagram on your desktop. Now, I realize that there's ways to circumvent this and you can use the desktop version of some apps. It just seems like a little bit of an extra headache. One thing that I love is this pen. This pen is fantastic. It is so nice. It has such a soft touch so that when I go to take notes, it's easier. I can write 10 sentences easier than I can putting a pen to paper. That is a really neat technology. You can color, you can shade. I've even done sketches for clients of interiors or an exterior of a house. That is an amazing feature. I love that I'm able to listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video and take notes at the same time. One of the biggest drawbacks to the iPad Pro is that I cannot save to an external source, which means when I did a presentation that I wanted to save to a thumb drive to pass over to somebody else, I couldn't do it. So that's super frustrating. I had to find a way to transfer the large files that wasn't email, and that can be really restrictive. So if you're somebody who's working with large files and saving them a lot to an external hard drive, I don't know that this would replace your computer. One thing I really like to do is to cast. So when we're in the office, we have a nice big giant screen in the boardroom, and I will use my computer to cast what I'm looking at so the entire team can see it. What I find with the iPad is it just takes one more step. Typically, an Android tablet, you can just Chromecast straight from Google. Same thing with your desktop or your laptop. However, with the iPad Pro, I had to install a separate app in order to mirror my screen. So it's just an extra step. I'm also struggling to figure out where to save files. A photographer recently transferred me all of the photos from our photo shoot, but I wasn't able to download it. So that was really frustrating and I didn't know how to save it or where. I might still figure this out. Okay, one other downside to the iPad is the power source. So when you go to charge your iPad, you can't plug in your headphones at the same time, which is a bit of a bummer. Now you might be able to use the wireless headphones. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I think you probably can't because you probably need to plug something in. You also need all these like dongle, toggle things. If you wanted to put in an SD card, for example, if you have pictures on your camera and you want to get them to the computer, then you can use an app, I suppose, that is an option, but you do need to plug in this little dongly thing that has USB and all the rest. A little bit of extra legwork to do something that you can simply do on a computer. So here is my summary. I love the iPad Pro, and for me, it's actually working. It's still helpful to have a desktop at my office where every once in a while, if I find a task is a little cumbersome, I can just hop on that computer to do those things. You really need to think about what you use it for because how you use it is different than how I use it. It's just like designing a house. How you use your kitchen is totally different than how I might use my kitchen. So it's important to look at your needs and how you think it will do you a good service. Ultimately, I think that iPads have come a really long way. This is the future for sure. It's about developing habits, learning that, oh, if I just tap here, we're so accustomed to reaching for a mouse or scrolling a trackpad that it's really just training yourself to do it a different way. It is intuitive. Look at the kids these days, they've nailed it. So there you go, those are my 2 cents on replacing your computer with an iPad. I would love to hear if anyone else is going through this. Have you tried it? Do you think it works? And do you have an answer to any of those problems I mentioned? Please comment below and let me know. Subscribe to my channel and I'll see you soon.